Hey, what's going on, guys? UFC Vegas 90, Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis 2 just ended, and this is going to be my full card post-fight. I'm going to go through every single fight on the card and give you my reaction and breakdown. Starting off with the first fight of the night, Nora Cornolle versus Melissa Tonya Mullins. Melissa Tonya Mullins was out-grappling her. Out-grappled her in the first round, took the first round. Then in the second round, was starting to kind of implement the grappling and clinch game. And I believe she had her down. Cornolle got back up. They were in the clinch. Cornolle lands a perfectly placed knee to the body. Hurts Mullins. Mullins starts to turn away. Cornolle throws a head kick that lands. And then basically you have Mullins kind of sprinting backwards towards the cage and kind of just folds. Like basically since that knee to the body landed, Nora Cornolle was done. So women's MMA is basically impossible to predict at this point. I was confident that Melissa Tonya Mullins was better than Nora Cornolle. But then they go out there, and I did talk about it in my predictions. Nora Cornolle, where was she best? She was best with the knees and the elbows in the clinch. And that's how she ends up winning this fight. I mean, it was just a perfectly placed knee to the body, and Mullins could not recover. Wasn't that eventful of a fight up until that point, but Nora Cornolle gets the TKO in the second round. Moving up on the card, we have Cesar Almeida versus Dylan Budka. Cesar Almeida wins via second round TKO. To be honest, I think Budka kind of embarrassed himself here. I mean, I thought he would do much better considering he took the Dana White's Contender Series fight on short notice. He went out there, grappled the entire first round, was able to out-grapple Cesar Almeida. I think he caught a kick, got a takedown, was controlling him. Didn't do any damage, but controlled him the entire first round, basically. And then in the second round, he was exhausted. And he got a takedown early. Literally, Cesar Almeida literally has no takedown defense. Basically fell over from a takedown, crawls to the fence, gets back up, starts slamming elbows, starts beating him up in the clinch a little bit. And then basically Budka's in on desperation takedowns. And you have Almeida, what I call the Travis Brown elbows, but some of you guys who haven't been watching the sport for that long may not even know what I'm talking about. It's the side downward elbows while somebody's in on a takedown. The Alex Pereira, Yuri Prohaska elbows, as some people would know him now, basically. But Almeida just starts slamming him down as Budka's in on a desperation takedown. Eventually, Budka just folds over into a ball. Cesar Almeida lands some ground and pound to finish him off. I mean, Cesar Almeida, we knew he was the better striker, but Budka, somebody told me, I did not see this, I did not hear this, I wasn't listening to the commentary when I watched this fight. Apparently they say Budka landed one signature strike. And while I don't believe in the stats, that sounds about right. Budka was just non-stop spamming takedown after takedown after takedown after takedown and prioritizing nothing but top control. That is literally it. So in this fight in particular, when you just hang out on the side of somebody's hip or their thigh, and they have, lanky arms, they can just lean over and start slamming those elbows in. And the elbows to the side of the head were the beginning of the end of Dylan Budka. Cesar Almeida gets a second round TKO. Moving up on the card, Jean Matsumoto versus Dan Argueta. This fight was actually really satisfying to watch. Jean Matsumoto gets a second round guillotine. I mean, Dan Argueta was spamming takedown after takedown after takedown. He was getting a lot of them, but Matsumoto was scrambling back up, and he would have moments where he would reverse position and kind of get in a decent position of his own, but then it just seemed like Argueta was just a little bit stronger and a little bit better in the BJJ. And that's basically the story of the fight. And a lot of these fights, honestly, tonight were just nonstop spamming, grappling, and this is one of the reasons I hate the Apex. It gives a massive advantage to guys who want to just nonstop spam the grappling, who don't actually do anything with it once they get it. And Dan Argueta just kept spamming the takedown. He won the first round by spamming the takedown because Jean Matsumoto wasn't able really to do much. He was just kind of defending. There were some times where he'd get back to his feet, but then he'd get taken back down again. And then in the second round, it caught up to Dan Argueta. He started to get a little bit more tired, started to shoot a little bit more labored. He shoots right into a guillotine choke. It looked like he might escape it, and, you seen kind of there was like an awkward angle. But I think that angle and the way the arm was kind of aimed up towards the air, and maybe gravity, I don't know. But I thought Argueta was going to get out. And this was the last second of the second round, honestly. I thought he was going to survive. He throws like 2 punches at the thighs, then all of a sudden he taps, and he was out. Actually, by the time the choke was released, he was out. And, I mean, this is what happens when you just spam takedown after takedown after takedown. Now, Matsumoto, we knew he had decent BJJ. He made Dan Argueta pay for it. Dan Argueta basically had no respect for him. Was just shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. I mean, I felt like every fight was this tonight, honestly. And ends up shooting right into a guillotine choke and gets choked out cold in the second round with 2 seconds left on the clock. Literally 2 seconds left on the clock in the second round. Jean Matsumoto gets it done. And super young, still undefeated. You know, it was looking like, okay, maybe he was going to be able to, you know, come back. It wasn't like I didn't lose all hope for him winning this fight, but it wasn't looking great. It looked like, okay, Dan Argueta's out muscling him, but Matsumoto would scramble back up and find moments. And it seemed like in those moments, that's where Dan Argueta started to break, and then the shots became more labored, and Matsumoto was landing some decent leg kicks as well, and then eventually found the guillotine. So Jean Matsumoto gets a second-round guillotine choke, a buzzer-beater guillotine choke to get it done. Moving up on the card, Victor Hugo versus Pedro Falcão, I think is how you pronounce it. Falcão stepped in on short notice, out-grappled him the first round, won the first round, just non-stop grappling. Again, there were so many fights like this. And then Falcão started to kind of gas. I think it was at the tail end of the first round. Or actually, no, you know what? I think it was the second round. It was the end of the second round. It seemed like Falcão really started to get tired. You could tell he was tired. But first round, won the first round, out-grappling him. Second round, you could tell the momentum was shifting. And towards the end of the second round, you could really see Falcão was getting tired. Hugo started to defend the takedowns, slamming good leg kicks. I scored the first round for Falcão, obviously nonstop grappling. Second round, I had Hugo basically off defending the takedowns, landing good shots. And then in the third round, it was kind of close. Hugo got caught with a nut shot, and there was no break. Tonya said, "Oh no, keep fighting, keep fighting." I think it was maybe a spinning back kick to the nuts. I can't remember for sure, but I think that's what it was. Or it was like a side kick to the nuts, and Tonya was like, "Keep fighting." It was clean. They looked at the replay; it was not clean. You could hear it on the audio when it happened. Third round was close. Falcão was moving forward. He realized, I think he knew in his mind he needed the third round. Hugo edged out the third round. Leg kicks, just landing the better shots overall, defending the takedowns. He didn't really try to grapple that much himself, which was surprising, but it was a totally different style opponent. And Hugo got it done. I thought he won the second and third round. I thought the first round Falcão had it. And Victor Hugo wins via decision, unanimous decision. Moving up on the card, Norma Dumont versus Germaine de Randamie. Norma Dumont wins via unanimous decision. Honestly, Germaine de Randamie had some good leg kicks in the first round, but then basically got taken down and controlled, I think, off of a kick. Had nothing off of her back. Second round was really the same. Dumont, even in the second round, was landing some good shots early. And then Germaine de Randamie was landing in the clinch a bit. And then there was a takedown from Dumont. And didn't do that much damage, but I thought, okay, she controlled her for a little bit. And then also she landed the shots early. I had her win in the second round. And then Dumont took her down early in the third. Throughout this fight, I had Dumont winning all three rounds. Throughout this fight, Dumont was like going for arm triangles while she's in Germaine de Randamie's full guard with a closed guard. She's going for like some version, like it looked like almost like she was going for a Von Flue choke in the third round multiple times, when she wasn't really in the position to get the Von Flue choke. So I don't know if Dumont's just messing around, or just wanted to get top control or what. But Dumont wasn't very impressive. But I mean, Germaine de Randamie was come back after like a 3.5-year layoff. She didn't have that good of grappling before. I knew she wasn't going to have that good of grappling now. She looked okay on the feet, but had nothing to offer off of her back. Literally just closed guard. I'm not even sure. I think she might have got up one time. I think maybe in the first round. But for the most part, she just laid on her back, closed guard, had nothing to offer. Wasn't really throwing much off her back either. And overall, it was just a horrendous performance by both girls, honestly. Moving up on the card, Lukasz Brzeski versus Valter Walker. I've heard him call him Brzeski. I think it's Brzeski. That's what I've heard so many different times. Brzeski gets the unanimous decision win, which I think is crazy. Early, Brzeski was chopping the legs, then got taken down, was eating some shots up against the fence, some decent, powerful shots. Brzeski got up like the last second, landed some decent shots on the feet, and then got taken down again and ate a couple more shots on the ground. I thought Walker won the first round. I thought the shots up against the fence, they were decent power shots. I thought he won the first round. Then the second round, Walker got a takedown early, did no damage with it. Brzeski got back up, was winning on the feet, was landing some uppercuts. And then Walker landed a little bit towards the last 30, 45 seconds of the second round. But I thought Brzeski won the second round, landed the better shots on the feet, and wasn't controlled a significant amount in the second round. And then in the third round, Brzeski got taken down again, gave up his back, gave up full mount, pushed off the cage, Yuri Glover style to get out of the full mount, and scrambled back up, but, just ended up back on bottom anyway. I think that's what it was. I'm trying to remember. He pushed off the cage, ended up on top, but then ended up getting reversed and ended up back on bottom. And didn't really do much with it, even though it was kind of a crazy exchange. And I thought third round, Valter Walker won the third round. So I had 1 and 3 for Valter Walker. I thought it was pretty clear. And the judges give Brzeski the win via unanimous decision. There was some kind of wonky. There was a couple of scorecards I did not agree with tonight. Wasn't a stellar performance by either guy. I mean, Walker's cardio was absolutely, he was gassed in the third round and was like basic. I mean, he got the grappling done. He was able to get the top control, but just overall wasn't super impressive. And Brzeski gets it done. But again, I disagree with the decision. I just basically think he got out grappled. I think the first round, the damage that was done up against the fence with those ground and pound shots were far better or far more damaging than the shots Brzeski landed on the feet. Brzeski has no takedown at defense at all. You shoot on him, he just falls over like a statue, basically. And we saw that multiple times in this fight. But he did have the ability to scramble back up. He did scramble back up. He didn't just lay there nonstop. But if he could stuff a takedown, he easily beats Valter Walker. He did beat him anyway, but he would have easily beat him if he could stuff a takedown. Moving up on the card, Court McGee versus Alex Morono. This is the featured prelim. Alex Morono wins via unanimous decision. Honestly, I thought McGee won this fight, and this was a horrendous fight. Morono was an absolute idiot with no fight IQ. Landed a nasty right hand early, right on the chin of Court McGee. Literally rocked him, in my opinion. Never even followed up. It went a minute and a half went by. He never even threw another shot. McGee was landing some decent shots on the feet. I mean, that was pretty much the entire fight. The second round, McGee shot on a takedown. Morono looked for a guillotine. McGee landed some shots on the ground after he escaped the guillotine. Then Morono got up, hit him with some shots, hit him with another big shot in the second round, didn't follow up at all. And so I had the second round for McGee. I thought he landed the better shots and had some control time. And the third round, I mean, Morono looked awful. You know, I thought McGee just basically landed some better shots in the third round. I'm not saying this was a robbery, but I thought 2 and 3 went to McGee. Morono looked horrible. Has Morono regressed? I remember Morono having a competitive fight with Santiago Ponzinibbio. Now he's fighting Court McGee, the dead corpse of Court McGee, and he can't even have a decent performance. He looked terrible. He looked uncoordinated, and he had no fight IQ. I mean, there was at least 2 times, there might have been more, where he clipped Court McGee hard, snapped his head back. The first round, for sure, Court McGee was wobbled a little bit, and then he stared at him for a minute and a half afterwards. No aggression, no killer instinct. He deserved to lose this fight. He should have not got the unanimous decision. I thought Court McGee should have got it done 29-28, but it was not a robbery because the third round was relatively close. Moving up on the card, Trevor Peek versus Charlie Campbell. Charlie Campbell gets it done, unanimous decision. Campbell was just touching him up. Peek is just, you know, I don't know. Peek was getting his leg chopped up early, and, you know, basically Peek tried to mix in the grappling, didn't really do anything with that. In the first round, he took him down for a second and landed like a sneaky knee to the body as Campbell was looking to get up. That was pretty, you know, a nasty knee, but for the most part, it was just Campbell landing the right hand, landing the leg kicks, Peek looking for takedowns, Peek rushing forward with big shots. In the second round at one point, Campbell shot in on a takedown because Peek was rushing forward, throwing these wild wing combinations, and actually pulled up the pants of Trevor Peek, and you saw his asshole for a second, and he was wearing no underwear underneath or no shorts underneath. But Campbell won the second round as well. And then the third round, Peek was exploding, looking to try to get a finish. But Campbell out-grappled him in the third round, had his back most of the third round, looking for a rear naked choke. I had Charlie Campbell winning all 3 rounds. And he beats the former Kentucky State Fair champion in Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek might be heading back to Kentucky State Fair soon for that funnel cake title belt. Trevor Peek's so much fun to watch, man. I like Trevor Peek quite a bit, but that type of style is not going to get you far. I mean, he just fights like an absolute maniac, and he's not particularly excellent anywhere. Charlie Campbell was lighting him up on the feet. And Charlie Campbell did start to gas in that third round, but Peek was exhausted too from shooting desperation takedowns. So Campbell gets it done, much cleaner on the feet, much better grappling, damaged that lead leg of Peek, had Peek changing stances all fight, basically from abusing the calf of Trevor Peek. And like when he rushes forward, if he can't find a big shot to hurt you bad, and there was a couple moments where Campbell got clipped up a little bit and looked like he might be in some trouble, but he was able to, you know, survive. I don't even think he was rocked terribly at any point, and mixed in the grappling when he needed to, circled out when he needed to. And if this was a bigger cage, I think Campbell would have had a lot less trouble with Trevor Peek in this fight. So Charlie Campbell gets it done via unanimous decision, opening up the main card. Moving up the card, Ignacio Bahamondes versus Christos Giagos. Bahamondes gets it done, first round head kick KO. Giagos was touching him up a little bit early. He was landing the right hand, and I was thinking, oh, is Bahamondes about to lose? He was starting to bleed from the mouth a little bit. He got caught with the right hand a couple times. Then you had a spinning wheel kick from Bahamondes, landed to the head. Then a spinning back kick to the body. Then a nasty right hand that almost finished Giagos. Started swarming him up against the fence. Giagos was able to survive. And then maybe 10, 20 seconds after you felt like, okay, Giagos kind of waded through that storm. Boom, picture perfect head kick, drop Giagos. Didn't even need to follow up. After he got hit with the head kick, he was seated up against the cage. His arms were down. He wasn't prepared to defend himself. Bahamondes didn't even need to follow up. Giagos was completely done. It was a filthy, filthy head kick from Ignacio Bahamondes. Gets it done in the very first round. And honestly, Giagos was looking decent, man. He was exploding forward, landed multiple big right hands. And Bahamondes got his timing, got his range, and used it and just absolutely smashed him. And didn't get too careless. When he did hurt him with the right hand initially after he landed the heel kick and then the body kick and then the right hand, he didn't get overzealous. He looked for the finish, realized he wasn't getting it, kind of backed up and reset, and then eventually found that head kick. So great performance from Ignacio Bahamondes. Moving up on the card, we have Morgan Charriere versus Chepe Mariscal. I thought this was a robbery. You got Chepe Mariscal winning via split decision. I kind of thought this was a robbery, I'm going to be honest. I thought Morgan Charriere, I had him 1-2. First round, Chepe was grappling nonstop, but doing literally no damage. And I thought just Charriere just landed better shots on the feet. They were both landing in the clinch. Charriere was landing on the feet better. At one point, I thought he might have wobbled Chepe. They didn't show a replay for that, so I'm not 100% sure. But either way, Chepe was just grappling nonstop, just literally looking for takedowns over and over and over again, and not really finding them, not having a whole lot of success. Second round, Chepe kind of abandoned the takedowns as much, and Charriere was out striking him, landed a good clean head kick. Mariscal was landing, but it was clearly there was a power differential and there was a speed differential. Charriere had a late trip, like a trip/throw where he got a takedown, and then there was a front kick by Chepe at the end of the round, and then there was another takedown from from Charriere after that. I thought that Charriere won round 2 as well. And then round 3, Chepe was very aggressive landing. But Charriere ended up getting a takedown of his own, had some control time for a few minutes, was landing some okay shots. But then there was like a scramble and Chepe ended up on top. And when Chepe ended up on top, because Charriere was a little bit tired, high fight IQ decisions for Chepe. Instead of trying to get in the best position, he just started throwing ground and pound shots. And landed maybe 6-7 really hard ground and pound shots. And I really thought that stole Chepe the third round. So I had 1-2 for Morgan Charriere. They give the decision to Chepe Mariscal. And I can't remember. Now, I don't think it was this fight. I think it was the co-main event. I was going to say, I think one judge might have gave it to 30-27 Chepe. But I think that was the co-main event, which we'll talk about in a second. But I thought overall it was a good performance from both guys. But I thought Morgan Charriere clearly won the first and second round. I think you could even make a case maybe for the third. I wouldn't give him the third. But the first round, I think it all comes down to the first round. I haven't seen the scorecards, but I thought Charriere clearly did more damage in the first round, even though Chepe was pressing him against the fence. There was one sequence, I think it was in the second round or maybe the third round, where Chepe was just marching forward, throwing big shots. And on the replay, live, I thought some of them might have landed. On the replay, most of them missed, and then boom, Charriere ducked under, turned a corner, got a takedown. It was a slick takedown from Charriere. And I thought he should have got the win here. I really do. I think he should have beat Chepe Mariscal. But the judges aren't that good, and they gave it to Chepe. Or I thought it should have went to Charriere. I think I just misspoke. I think I said Mariscal. I don't know why I keep messing them up, because Charriere and then Chepe and Morgan and Mariscal, even though that doesn't make any sense. You guys get my point. I'm tired. I thought Charriere should have got the win, bottom line, 29-28, but Chepe Mariscal got the win. Moving up on the card, the co-main event, Alexander Hernandez versus Damon Jackson. Damon Jackson and his hairline is no more. The man went out and got hair plugs, clearly. Honestly, I thought Jackson won this fight. I thought he won the first and second round. He landed some okay shots, got some takedowns, got some control. I thought Hernandez first round landed some hard shots, second round landed some hard shots, but I thought Damon Jackson landed more volume, and they were not light shots. He was busting them up. They were decent power shots as well, mixing in the grappling in both rounds. Second round, I believe he had his back for a little bit and did some damage from his back, was landing some decent leg kicks as well. I thought first and second round for Jackson. Third round, Damon Jackson got hurt badly, and Hernandez just fumbled the finish. Ended up in full mount. I think he started looking for an arm triangle at one point. Didn't look for the finish with strikes. Ended up getting reversed and ended up getting flattened out by Jackson. Jackson landed some good shots, and then I thought the third round, no matter what, they ended up like fighting in the clinch for the last 2 minutes. I thought the third round, no matter what, was Hernandez because he hurt him badly. So I had it 29-28 for Damon Jackson. One judge gave it 30-27 for Aaron Hernandez. Not Aaron Hernandez, Alex Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez is a murderer, an NFL star. But yeah, Alex Hernandez, 30-27. Whoever judged that needs to be fired. Completely fired. Needs to be gone from the sport. What an abomination of a scorecard. There is no way that you can give round 2 to anyone but Damon Jackson. I mean, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. First round, maybe, because Hernandez had some big shots and Jackson landed some okay volume. But honestly, my biggest takeaway from this fight, neither guy looked good at all. I wasn't impressed by either one of these guys' performances. I think they both, for a co-main event, imagine this was a co-main event years ago. Absolutely not. I mean, this would have been laughed out of the building as a co-main event. This is the Apex event. This is a quintessential Apex co-main event. Both guys look terrible. The judge that scored at 30-27 for Hernandez should be disowned by his family. But ultimately, the right guy won. Damon Jackson gets the split decision. Moving up on the card to the main event, we have Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis 2. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch this, but honestly, I feel like this fight was a robbery. I really do. I know people are like, close fights can't be robberies, and that's what I say all the time. This was a fight where it was competitive, it was close, but there was 3 rounds that should have clearly been scored for Chris Curtis. 3 rounds should have clearly been scored for Chris Curtis. I had Brendan Allen taking round 1. I had Brendan Allen taking round 4, but I thought 4 was close. And then I had Chris Curtis taking 2, 3, and 5. Round 1. Clearly, Allen, probably the most clear round of the entire, not the most clear round of the entire fight, but pretty clear. Was landing decent body kicks, decent strikes on the feet, ducked under a punch, got a takedown, got the back mount early. Curtis found his way out of it, but Allen was landing on the feet pretty well. Clearly won the first round. Second round, Curtis really started to press him, started to piece him up with his boxing. Landed a hard right in this round as well, mixing in the body shots. Clearly won the second round. Third round, Curtis rocked Allen. Okay, rocked him bad. Curtis got eye poked in the third round. Then, Allen was enjoying the rest. He was seated up against the cage because he was already starting to get tired. Got eye poked, asked for a towel. They were taking forever to get the towel, so he wiped his eye on the ref's shirt and then said, all right, let's go back, because he wanted to put the pressure on Allen. Clearly won the third round. Absolutely won the third round. Got taken down, gave up his back, but not for that long. Would escape out of it. There was a standing rear naked choke attempt at one point from Brendan Allen. He would find some takedowns in this fight, but did nothing with them. Never did any damage. Would just look for a rear naked choke, and then Curtis would eventually scramble out of him. Then round 4, Curtis was winning early. Then I don't want to claim this just yet because I haven't gone back and watched the replay multiple times. I've only seen it once, and maybe the UFC didn't show it all. Sometimes they don't get the right sequence. Curtis landed what appeared to be, I think it was a jab, and Brendan Allen claimed eye poke and backed off. Referee gave him a break. They showed the replay on the broadcast, and it appeared to be a punch. And Mark Smith started him back up quick, so I'm assuming Mark Smith thought it was a punch as well. So you have that, and then you have a takedown from Allen. Immediately, Curtis gives up his back. He just wanted to give up his back to then find his way back to his feet somehow. And then later in the fight, after Curtis got back up, you had another late takedown, and Allen ended up in full mount, but didn't really do any damage. Allen landed some okay shots on the feet. But fourth round, I thought was 50-50. I thought it could have went either way, but I scored it for Allen just barely because there wasn't a lot of damage in the round. Curtis was winning early, but Allen started to land some decent shots as well. I think this was a round he had a couple standing elbows. So I gave round 4 to Brendan Allen. I had it 2-2 going into the 5th round. 5th round is going to be the most controversial round, but somehow all 3 judges gave the 5th round to Brendan Allen. Chris Curtis dominated the 5th round. Literally dominated the 5th round. Stuffed the takedowns, was beating him up. Allen was flailing around on the ground like a dead fish, or like a fish out of water, really not a dead fish. And at the end of the round, Brendan Allen shoots in on a takedown. Curtis easily stuffs the takedown, is in the front headlock position. I think one of Curtis's biggest problems in this fight is he should have made Allen pay for the takedown attempts where he stuffed him. He could have beat up the body. He did a little bit in the 5th round. He could have hung out on the head, beat up the body, but he didn't want to engage with Allen at all on the ground. He would just stand right up. In the last 10 seconds of the 5th round, he stood up, and when he stood up, he hurt his hamstring. Apparently, he tore his hamstring, which is a serious injury, all right? Tore his hamstring, backed up. Allen could tell that he was hurt. All of a sudden, Allen, who's been flailing around the ground, not doing anything the entire 5th round, rushes forward and throws these elbows and throws a knee. Literally, I went back and watched the sequence. Not a single one of Brendan Allen's strikes landed after that. Maybe the knee. They didn't show a good angle on the knee, so maybe the knee landed. But basically nothing. They both collapse to the ground at the end of the round. The bell goes off. And we go to the judges' scorecards. I'm like, oh, 2, 3, and 5 is clearly Chris Curtis. He clearly won this fight. They give it to Brendan Allen, and one judge had it 49-46. It was closer to 4-1 for Chris Curtis than it was 4-1 for Brendan Allen. The second round, Curtis clearly outstruck him. The third round, Curtis hurt him. Those rounds, in my opinion, are not debatable. Maybe round 2, but I have to go back and rewatch it. I did not think round 2 was debatable. Round 3 was not debatable. He rocked him badly. And then round 5, Curtis dominated every second of that round, except the last 10 seconds of the round. And people are saying, well, if there was another round, Curtis wouldn't have been able to continue. That's not how the rules work. You know, the fight happens in the span that it happens. Technically, you could say the same thing for Sean O'Malley when he got hit with that body shot hard by, Marlon Vera at the end of their title fight. Oh, well, if it was another round, Sean O'Malley wouldn't be able to continue. I mean, seriously, think about how many fights where a guy's gassed out towards the end of the fight and the other guy's a little bit fresher. Oh, well, if it went another round, they wouldn't have been able to continue. That argument does not work. All 3 judges gave round 5 to Brendan Allen. So an injury that he sustained, stuffing spam takedown after spam takedown. Honestly, once he realized his hamstring was injured, he should have just hung out on top of him. Brendan Allen wasn't doing shit. There was multiple times in this fight where Chris Curtis would get taken down, immediately give up his back, and then find his way out of the back mount. I mean, Brendan Allen would have a body triangle. Brendan Allen would have hooks in, and Curtis would just scramble out. He would defend the choke for 30 seconds, then scramble out of the back mount. Brendan Allen in this fight, I really thought it was an embarrassing performance from Brendan Allen. Looked really not that great in the striking outside of maybe the first round. You know, had a couple moments where he would land a standing elbow or whatnot, but the cardio didn't look great. The jiu-jitsu, I mean, honestly, everyone always hypes up Brendan Allen's jiu-jitsu, and his submission ability didn't look great. And he's calling for a title shot off of a robbery win against a short-notice Chris Curtis. I don't know, man. Brendan Allen is crazy. It's like every fight he's calling for a title shot. He brags about beating his young daughter. He talks about cum shots in front of his young daughter. He uses the F word on the ESPN broadcast in front of his young daughter. And it's just all together. Combine all that together. It just really rubs me the wrong way. Brendan Allen in no way, shape, or form deserves a title shot. He should not have won this fight. And the dude is just an ultimate clown. And I know people are going to say, oh, Joey, well, that's why you scored it against him, because you don't like him. No. 2, 3, and 5. If you scored round 5 for Brendan Allen, I think you were a clown. He got dominated in round 5. Just because Curtis tore his hamstring in the last 10 seconds does not mean you throw away the entire 5th round. It does not mean you throw the rest of the 4 minutes and 50 seconds that Chris Curtis was winning, boxing him up, beating him up to the body, landing good shots on the feet, walking him down. And then you had the commentary team. At one point, Bisping said, yeah, Brendan Allen was really pushing the pace in this fight. What fight was he watching? Delusional. I think Chris Curtis was robbed. I think he should have got 2, 3, and 5. He should have won this fight via decision on short notice. Unfortunately, we got judges that, honestly, the judges are making me start to hate this sport. You know, I understand that this isn't the most egregious robbery ever. There's fights that have been worse. Sean O'Malley, Piotr Jan, Paddy Pimblett, Jarrett Gordon. Go back, way back when, Diego Sanchez versus Ross Pearson was horrible. But it's decisions like this where it's like they kind of get glossed over and they kind of get forgotten about, because it was a decent fight. It was a fun fight to watch. But Chris Curtis ultimately gets screwed. I think he should have got the decision here. And the 49-46 scorecard is completely egregious. There's no way Brendan Allen won 4 rounds. I think there's more of a case to make that Chris Curtis won 4 rounds than Brendan Allen won 4 rounds. That's how bad that scorecard is. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for watching.